And I think it's just taking that step back and going, hey, and let me provide some value. Here's a calculator. Here's a free ebook. Here's a free course that's put together, right? Here's this book. If you want to buy it, it's great. Otherwise, get the digital version, right? Or here's others are saying about this, right? And just take a little bit more time and just realize. I mean, I remember this was a while back. This is when I was an employee. We had a $65,000 program, and it was, so it was a big sale, a 2-year program that we were selling. And the only time I think we had been in a podcast that I created, and there was this guy that we've never talked to, right? But he's like, yeah, I've listened to like 40 hours of the podcast. I'm ready to sign up, right? And so average sales cycle was 3 to 6 months. This got called in within 24 hours and was closed because of all the work.
Welcome to the AI Marketing Navigator, where we simplify AI marketing to keep you ahead of the curve. Brought to you by Digital Pop, delivering AI marketing automation so your small business thrives. Here's your host, Alex Carlson.
Let's talk. I also like to, I'm very pro AI. I think that's pretty obvious if for any of the listeners listening to this show. But I also like to talk about AI fails, AI misconceptions. Can you give us an example of somewhere that AI is consistently still falling short for you guys? What you think, where you think it is maybe not appropriate in marketing tactics or strategies?
A couple spots. I think if you're trying to give it like Facebook advice, sometimes it's not up to date on restrictions, right? In the financial sector, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some housing, debt, there's some other industries, right, that are constrained. I think that's one area. I think Lovable, even though it's good, you do have to, like I've used ChatGPT to debug Lovable, where I go, hey, I'm running into this bug. Because Lovable will run into a bug and you just go, cool, go ahead and fix it. And it's like, okay, cool, I'm going to analyze it and try and fix it. And then you get stuck on that for like 10 rotations, right? And so sometimes you actually have to go, okay, cool. And you actually have to understand it a little bit. So there's some super simple things you can just do on your own, right? I think I built like an email sender for mail gun or something in like 4 commands or something like that. I was like, cool, create a thing where I can send emails through Mailgun. Here's my API key, start. And I think it took like 4 commands and it was done. But then I was trying to build an integration with High Level and like to import notes and data into High Level. And I had to do a much more complicated whatever. It's just more complicated, and I think it was like 100 prompts in, trying to get it to the point where I'm like, it actually have to understand, right? So there is some risk of you running into things where if you don't understand what you're doing, AI can help you, but you will sometimes actually have to learn things still. I think on the coding side, where I think we're all I think everyone is now a developer. I don't think all of us are great developers, right? I think we still have to
Agreed.
learn things.
Absolutely. Agreed. I think, well, a couple points there. I've seen examples of the projects that people are putting out to market, and quickly a developer will point out like, hey, your API keys are publicly visible here. In case you weren't one, just little example, like, so people are developers, but they're not very great developers yet is 100% accurate. And you mentioned, learning, and actually one thing that I use AI for, not too much, but it's to assist me in copywriting. And I've never considered myself a good copywriter. And if you don't know what good copy looks like, how are you going to know if what you're working with with the AI is good copy or not? So I've had to, I've very distinctly or very deliberately gone back and tried to learn copywriting still. And even though I could have AI write anything I needed to. So you mentioned, actually being able to recognize and direct the AI to an actual good outcome is still very much a necessary skill. Let's talk a little bit about your guys' specific strategies and what you're doing at Revenx that I think is super interesting and would be of value to our listeners. You've talked about how consumers often have to, whether it's a website or whatever it is, view things multiple times to get the message before buying a product, before making a conversion. This makes obviously retargeting and that type of marketing very crucial. Can you talk about what kind of retargeting approaches and innovative ideas that you have specifically put together, or you're using maybe for financial advisors that kind of go beyond the basic? I'm going to pixel you and throw ads in your face as you travel the web. Is there anything you guys are doing that you could give us some insight into?
Yeah, I think you know, when so this is probably more in the B2B space, but the financial space as well, right? I think the financial space is very heavily regulated, but so it's a little tougher uh, to really do some of the things you'd want to do in the B2B space, for example. But um, most people, I mean, there's right, like I think we're all familiar. There's hot traffic, warm traffic, cold traffic. Hot people, they're in the market, they know
Sure.
what they're looking for. Warm, they're aware they have a problem. Cold, they're not even aware they have a problem, right? So no, every product, right? So and could be for I could be hot for I'm like cool. I'm actively looking weight loss right now. I'm losing weight. It's great, right? I was told 6 months ago. I'm like, well, it's fine, whatever. I'm not worrying about it right now. I'm eating the pizza and the ice cream, and it's fine, right? But it's ideally your traffic and your audience when you're trying to scale. The retargeting key there is really just like moving them to the next level of awareness, right? So it's
Hmm.
great. Are you, yeah, they got to your website. Great. Are you trying to get them straight to book an appointment or straight to sale, right? What is the right funnel for that? For B2B especially, a lot of it is social proof, right? So you're looking at, okay, great. Instead of just go, and this might not be answering your question perfectly, right? Because I think you were looking for like something
It's
else.
okay.
But for me, a lot of people just go, great, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing, right? And I think it's just taking that step back and going, hey, and let me provide some value. Here's a calculator. Here's a free ebook. Here's a free course I put together, right? Here's this book. If you want to buy it, great. Otherwise, get the digital version, right? Or here's what others are
Love
saying
that.
about us, right? And just take a little bit more time and just realize. I mean, I remember this was a while back. This is when I was an employee. We had a $65,000 program, and it was so it was a big sale. It was a 2-year program that we were selling, and the only time I think we had a podcast that I created, and there was this guy that we'd never talked to, right? But he's like, yeah, I've listened to like 40 hours of the podcast. I'm ready to sign up, right? And so average sales cycle was 3 to 6 months. This guy called in within 24 hours. He was closed because of all the work. Now that looks like okay, wow, that's amazing, but you have to do it for 2 years of podcasting. Like you have no idea what the impact is. I feel like it's a similar thing on your retargeting. There's a longer curve, right? Like yes, you can retarget your hot audience. Are they going on your buy page? Can you target people on other people's buy page? You should do that too, right? And you should be targeting your competitors. That's sort of the basic. But you should also be going, great. Not everybody's looking to buy right now. Good. How can you add value to them, right? And how can you there's this term ruin, right? Like how can you put them into the mind frame where it's like they know they have a problem, right? Like isn't it first step to
Mm.
any is to acknowledge you have a problem,
Yep.
right? It's like, oh, cool. Like, hey man, that shirt doesn't look good on you anymore. Did you have to go up the side? Sorry, my bad. Yeah, it's a
Love
little
it.
brutal sometimes. And you have to have that conversation, but you have to get them to the point where they're aware they have a problem and then move them on to the next step.
No, yeah, that absolutely answers the question. I think that's a great insight. Just take a step back on that retargeting. You know they were there. You know they were interested. So give them an answer to the problem that they don't even know they have yet.
Exactly.
Essentially, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what you guys are doing as far as what platforms you're finding effective for marketing. Let's keep it even in the financial industry for financial advisors for these smaller financial firms. What platforms, and then if there are multiple platforms, how are you integrating that cross platform kind of marketing mix into your strategy, and how do you find the optimal channel mix for a small financial firm? Where should they be meeting their customers, do you think?
Okay. Good question. I think most agents should get more familiar with digital. I mean, I'm a digital marketing agency, so that's going to be my go-to move. But I think
Sure.
COVID has taught us all that we do not have to meet in person. to build relationships. We have agents that sell make hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions and never meet the client face to face. People have preconceived notions sometimes about people or whatever else. So I think going digital in general of like your sales process, becoming familiar with that. I think I feel like you and I are probably in the same generation in early 30s or something like that, or late 20s. I don't know exactly.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I feel like for us, we're very familiar with the internet, digital phones, things like that, right? Now, I think
Mm-hmm.
very much so AI, because of this conversation, right? The next generation is going to have grown up with AI. Like I know schools right now are like, oh, don't use AI. I'm like, use AI. Like use AI for
Mm-hmm.
everything, right? It's like the people who are like, don't use a calculator, you'll get dumb. I'm like, are you kidding me, people? Like, let's use
They
AI
were wrong.
everywhere. But so that being said, is like, cool, great. Be digital, be willing to meet people anywhere, right? Like once the metaverse really takes off, which hasn't happened yet, right? But it will
Mm-hmm.
at some point
Mm-hmm.
probably take off. Great. Well, at that point, be willing to sell in the metaverse. Now, where to market. I think most small, like when you're just getting started, you got to find a good vendor, right? And yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
idea is every vendor is uh, should be making you money, right? And so, yes, you have to do your part, right? Like, I think your first step is learn to sell, learn to follow up, learn to sell, learn to close, different skill sets, right? Follow up is not just, oh, I called them once and they didn't answer. It's cool. Did you call them within 5 minutes? Great. Were you able to book an appointment? Okay, cool. How often did you follow up? Did you find them on Facebook? Did you send them a message there, right? Did you email them?
Mm-hmm.
Did you try to drive some value, right? Did you try different times of the day? Great, right? And then your sales process. I think for marketing, until you get big enough where you really have budget, find a vendor. Find a vendor that sells you leads, find a vendor that sells you appointments. It depends on where you're at in your process, right? And then find a vendor that sells you high net worth individuals. And then eventually you're going to want to build your own marketing, right? I think that's the final step. Is like, great, now you're going to want to, because this is the truth, right? Like if you're buying leads or appointments from us, you're helping to build our business. Now, we hopefully build our business off of driving more value, right? Like people make 10 to 1, 15 to 1 ROI off our appointments, which is fantastic. But we're building our brand, our business, right? Now, eventually, you're going to want to
Mm-hmm.
build your own business, right? So you're going to want us to run custom campaigns for you. Eventually, you get so big, you have your own marketing person, right? But I think for small businesses, learn to sell, get your skill set, find a vendor, hold them accountable to what they said they would do, right? And make sure you optimize your process because some leads and appointments are different, right? And so I think the only other thing I would say there is potentially niche down, right? So niche down,
Niche down.
and maybe you don't know what your niche is, so try them out, right? Like, cool, is it teachers? Is it universities? Is it federal government? Is it state government? Is it, big employers? Is it small businesses? Is it local? Local, I don't recommend as much anymore, only because I think with the digital, your local can be the entire country, right? So I think, finding the being the Tampa Bay guy, right, is not as valuable as being, oh, I'm the teacher guy, right? Like, your pension
Mm-hmm.
plan, I've done 100 programs, retirement plans for teachers just like you. You know what I mean? I think that's more valuable, right? Rather than, oh yeah, I'm the Tampa Bay guy. Okay, cool. So you're local. You can find me, right? You can come to my house or my office or something like that, and you can meet me, which is nice. But I think that is going to lower in quantity of like trust. I think we're more willing to trust across the internet than we ever have.
Sure, absolutely. One thing I want to dive into that I'm going to pick out from what you said that I'm really interested in, I know that you guys do some interesting things with as well, was the follow up, the importance of the follow up, what that looks like. And I'm going to bring AI back into the conversation as well. First of all, I couldn't agree more with where have you followed up? Have you followed up on Facebook and via phone and via email? And, have you done that cross channel, that multi channel follow up? How maybe, and are you guys using AI for any of your follow-up? How are you automating that? What tools are you using and maybe they're not AI tools, but what kind of tools are you using for that
Yeah,
follow-up?
so I mean, we use ChatGPT, write emails, or Gemini, right? Just like cool email follow-up, right? Here's the audience, write me a 10-part email follow-up for this audience, driving value, right? And like setting the benchmarks of what we're doing there. There's a great tool, SmartWriter.ai. That's a little bit more cold out. You're
Smart
probably
writer.
familiar with that one. Basically, it scrapes the person's LinkedIn profile, gives you something custom about them, like, hey, I saw a blog gave you a great review, you know what I mean? And so now you have something that's customized to that individual, which allows you to just drive more personalization in the conversation. So I think that's an aspect of it's all, I think fundamentally it's personalization that AI can give you, at scale, right? So I think high level does a pretty good job of integrating AI. That's been a a good tool in general. HubSpot has a few tools on that. Let me see if there's anything else that we were using right now. But I think that's been kind of the key thing. But I think what you're looking for is like, well, how do I add that personal touch, but at scale, right? Like, and again, most small business
Exactly.
owners, look, if you've got 5 clients, just do it yourself, right? Like, don't use AI to try to do it, right? Maybe write your message and then it'd be like, cool, can you make sure this is in a professional tone and give me any feedback? Use it as an editor or a mentor, right? But cool, you've got a book of business or 100 clients or 1,000 lifetime clients, you know what I mean? It's like, cool, then like keep notes, you know what I mean? Have AI analyze the notes and be like, cool, draft me an email and then send it. So I think that was big. Let me see what else we've been. Don't I obviously you're about DeepSeek. I would just keep out of that. It's cheaper, it's good, but it sends it to China. I had one of my guys use it and
Yeah.
extract, and it is sending the data to China. So
Yeah. I'm man, as as impressive as these Chinese models are, I am just too paranoid to dive in and experiment much with them because I mean, you just as your guy found out that it was going to China, and so again, it's just I like to steer clear of that, as impressive as they are. So I recommend the same typically, at least if you're going to do it. Study up on bringing something down locally onto your computer. Do your homework on how to actually do it correctly and in an isolated environment. Anyway,
yeah.
that's couldn't agree more there. But uh, and if you do have any more tools you wanted to pull into the conversation, don't worry about it. But I didn't
No,
want
no,
to
no.
cut
Yeah,
off
no,
that
I'm
train of
with you. I
thought.
think HeyGen, we've used. I
Love
like
HeyGen. Yep.
HeyGen for sure. Brandwise.ai is one we're checking out right now. I'm still trying to find a good one for
Okay.
social media, right? Because I think social media, trying to get the branding on point and then the content on point in a way that we can. Because yes, you can have ChatGPT write you 10 social media posts, totally fine, right? And you can even tell it, you can give it the rules. Hey, this is what I want. But I think trying to figure out a way to scale that is tough sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably the next big thing is AI agents, which I know some people are messing with and
Yep.
testing and things like that. I think I do recommend taking steps, right? I mean, I'm sure you're the same fan. Like, hey, take invest time and effort into it, but don't go off the deep end and
Mm-hmm.
be like, cool, I'm replacing everything with AI. Because AI is still making mistakes. You still want to qual check it. You can't just have it write you a book. You know what I mean? Because it'll lose the
Mm-hmm.
plot
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in there. So, 100%.
Exactly. Got it. Love that.
Thanks for listening to the AI Marketing Navigator. Ready to simplify your own marketing automation? Digital Pop helps make it happen so your small business can scale your marketing fast. Learn more at thedigitalpop.com.